This next news story comes to us from Eurogamer, I believe. Yeah, Eurogamer, written by Victoria Kennedy. Headline here. Water is wet. Oh, wait, no, that's not that line. Let's see. The Last of Us star Troy Baker will return in Naughty Dog's next game. Yeah.
No, that sounds correct. Yeah, water is wet. Water is indeed wet.
Yeah. Troy
or
Baker,
is it?
Troy Baker, best known as Joel in The Last of Us, as well as Nathan Drake's brother Sam in the Uncharted series, is set to collaborate with Naughty Dog once again. In a GQ profile of the prolific video game actor, the publication also confirmed Baker will have a part in studio head Neil Druckmann's next project. In a heartbeat, I would always work with Troy, Druckmann also told GQ after the publication learned of Baker's return. We still don't have any more concrete details about what Baker's role will be in the upcoming game. In fact, we don't actually even know much about the game itself. Back in June, Druckmann confirmed that Naughty Dog had a number of games in the works, including multiple single-player projects. At this time, Druckmann said the studio would not just be known for The Last of Us forever, and that future projects would be as story-rich as the studio's previous works. We create experiences that are steeped in story and character, especially relationships, Druckmann said. The stories have some sort of philosophical core that everything is going to revolve around and feed into. There has been speculation that Naughty Dog is working on a fantasy-themed release. This began after several posters of fantasy-like elements were spotted adorning the walls in The Last of Us Part 1. And meanwhile, earlier than that, the team's senior concept artist, Hyung Nam, set tongues wagging after they uploaded 3 new pieces of work to their ArtStation account early in 2021. The series was titled The Women of North, with the first of these images showing a warrior sitting atop a slain dragon. Nam tried to explain these pieces away by retrospectively stating that they were meant to be an homage to the notably dragon-free Assassin's Creed Valhalla and had nothing to do with anything happening at the developers. As for Baker, next up is he is portraying Indiana Jones in Machine Games' upcoming release, The Great Circle. You'll be pleased to hear, literally, that Troy Baker does a great gruff indie voice and sounds pretty much spot on with a young Harrison Ford. Our Ian wrote in Eurogamer's Indiana Jones
let's pump
preview.
our brakes here.
Yeah, it's a little, don't know about that.
I don't know about all that.
In the wrong hands, this might have been the most distracting thing about The Great Circle, but thankfully, Machine Games has chosen wisely on this one. Well, that's all right. So yeah, I don't know. There's not much to this story other than I want to, the 2 things I want to take away with this is, one, I guess, how I think it'd be really cool if Naughty Dog did something more fantastical. Like Uncharted is such a quote unquote grounded game. Obviously there's some exaggerate, it's fantastical elements to it, but it's based in like a real concrete, like modern day world. The Last of Us even more so. It's like, yeah, there's fantastical elements with like the clickers and zombies, but it's still very much like it's this modern, grounded, kind of modern-ish day. So how fun would it be to get a fantasy game from Naughty Dog, or just anything that's just not just based in the United States, or like in our world we know today, because that's what they were known for. Like that's what we loved from them, is Crash Bandicoot and Jak and Daxter and like all these other games that were just fantastical and over the top and adventures. Yeah, and just new worlds, new just species to explore and worlds to explore and all this stuff. I don't know. I would almost love a return to form to that, even if it's not strict fantasy. It doesn't have to just be fantasy, but just like a fantastical world would be so fun.
I would love for them to not have to worry about exploring my psyche as a human being in order to create a game.
That has me a little worried. The fact that he made that comment, like, yeah, it sounds like for better or for worse, that's kind of going to be the core of all their games going forward. Like, yeah, that statement's here. It's like the stories have some sort of philosophical core that everything is going to revolve around and feed into. I don't know how I feel about that, because I feel like that just means, all right, well, the old Naughty Dog's dead then. Like they say they don't want to just be known for The Last of Us, but that tells me all their games are going to be like
this is The Last of Us in a different font,
a little bit like The Last of Us, which is, I don't know.
And I don't say, and let me clarify, because I can feel the people type in the comments now. I'm not saying that it shouldn't have a story that is effective and that has themes and all of that. I'm saying I don't need the story to reflect real world issues or, dynamics that you and I have to deal with in the real world on a daily basis, right?
Yeah.
Figure out a way to tell those stories within a context of a fantastical world that it makes sense. Like Final Fantasy 16, for better or for worse, tried to do that and integrate issues with the caste system, as far as upper class, lower class, dealing with those issues and struggles. But the overall of the game was that it was a fantasy adventure game.
Yeah.
But I feel like the fantasy is just going to be a backdrop for a character study in the Naughty Dog game. Yeah, and that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah. And again, which isn't a terrible thing. Like the Last of Us games are fantastic.
We've already had those kinds of games.
Exactly. But it's all right, we've gotten it. Let's get something fresh and new in here. Let's not just get a reskin of the same thing over and over again. Yeah, exactly. You can, there's a lot of facets to humanity, but they just tend to get hung up on one and just the darkness and despair of it. And it's just all right, how many flavors could we possibly get the same thing? Let's get something fresh in here. But
we get it. Humans are awful and corrupt. We get it. We get it.
Yeah, exactly.
And also capable of good at the same time. We get it.
And then the second thing I just want to I don't have anything helpful to say about this situation, but there's so many incredible voice actors out there. Why just keep reusing the same one? I get having a good relationship with someone and that's great. That's awesome. But in having the same person come back to voice the same character, but they've had Troy Baker for Uncharted. They've had Troy Baker for The Last of Us. They've had Troy, and now they're going to have Troy Baker in these, yeah, okay, he has good range. Okay, yeah, he's a good actor. But why, there's so many other great actors out there. There's so many other people out there. Why do we just keep picking the same one? Again, nothing against Troy Baker. He's phenomenal in all of his roles. I haven't really experienced one where he's not good in it. But it's just, to me, it just comes down to why, I would almost rather have, these characters are supposed to be very different people. So why not have very different voice actors acting them, right? Instead of just relying on Troy to be the monkey and play whoever you want to play. I almost blame Druckmann in this as much as I blame Troy Baker, kind of just going back to the same well and not trying new things. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think I'm being too cruel with that, or is whatever, or I don't know?
Maybe just a little bit. I also am, let me see, for lack of a better term, tired of seeing Troy. Troy is he is a great actor. I will never phenomenal. Disparage that. Yeah. He's an incredible actor.
I love him in Death Stranding.
He did great as Sam.
Higgs.
He was great in Death Stranding. You were supposed to hate his guts.
Yeah, but honestly, I love Higgs.
Phenomenal.
Higgs great.
He was phenomenal as Joel both times. So I will never take that away from him. I just don't need to see him all the time. And that's usually how it goes, right? If you're good at what you do, everybody's going to want you for their thing. I get it. Yeah. But there are also hundreds, if not thousands, of Troys out there that never get a chance to do their thing because they always go to Troy first, and nobody wants to take a chance on the unknown talent or the people who are talented but never got the chance to be on the same kind of platform or scale that Troy is on.
Yeah.
So we lose out on a lot of potential new voices because Troy gets first dibs on a lot of those roles, or people call him first because he's a known quantity, right? You call Troy, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a great performance. And that's no fault of Troy, right? Like I wouldn't tell him, hey, stop being so good at what you do. That's crazy. You know what I mean? But I do think the onus is on the development studios to be like, yes, we could call Troy, and Troy we know will do a good job.
Right.
But there are also other people out there that we could audition that could also do a very good job. And you expand the pool for future projects.
Exactly.
So you continue to bring new voices and new people into the field of these actors, these game actors. And it's a benefit for everybody. So, yeah. So I'm not going to say stop. I'm not going to tell Troy stop being good at what you're doing and stop accepting deals from studios. Like,
yeah,
bro, you're good at what you do.
Like, he's good at what he does.
Get your money.
Get paid. Yeah.
Right. Get your money 100%. But I'm talking to the studios. I'm like, yeah, you could get Troy, but you also could get somebody who is as good as Troy and not even know it if you just give them a chance.
Yeah.
And now we have 2 Troys, 3 Troys, 5 Troys. And it could be anybody as Troy, not just necessarily like a dude or anything. I'm just saying Troy as in the level of quality. We could have tons of Troys,
like, think about it. To choose from. Imagine if like in modern movies, like everyone just cast the same actor and everything. Like that would get boring quick. I mean, people got sick of Chris Pratt really fast, right? Like people
are sick of The Rock right now.
People are sick of Chris Pratt. They're sick of The Rock. They're sick of Kevin Hart, and Jack Black. Like all these people, because they just tend to play the same characters over and over again. Which again, is that their fault or not? Who knows? But even still,
it's not. The studios keep casting them.
Yeah. So it's like, man, imagine if we had. With that to say, Hollywood studios aren't, some of them are, but a lot of them try not to just cast the same people over again. Like there's a huge, there's dozens and dozens and hundreds of Hollywood actors that we all love and adore. There's a lot of this people from the past few decades. There's older generation, younger generation. Like there's people from all over. But you look at like the video game voice acting landscape, and it really is like Troy and Laura Bailey and there's just a handful of people that they just pick from all these games. Like, oh, imagine if that was like that pool was bigger, like Hollywood is. People want video games to be as big as Hollywood is. Like
Nolan North,
Nolan North, like all these people that are in all these games. Like, all right, well, start reaching out more then. Like, get some more voice actors in here doing some cool stuff. Don't just keep picking the same people, because it's gonna it's turning into like a Chris Pratt situation where we're all like, all right, we've had enough of Chris. We've had enough.
All right, yeah. And that's kind of where I'm at with Troy. Ever since when he got picked to be Indy, I'm like, all right, I don't know about this one. I will die on the hill.
His voice is not that good.
He does not sound like Harrison Ford. He does not. I don't know what people are hearing, but I watched all of the Indiana Jones movies. I've seen them hundreds of times in Star Wars. That man does not sound like Harrison Ford.
He sounds like a guy he sounds like a guy trying to do a Harrison Ford impression, honestly.
Yes. There are small flashes where I'm like, oh, that was kind of Harrison-y, but that's like 5% of the whole performance. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
I'm not casting you as a main character for flashes of Harrison Ford. I need you to do a solid all the way through Harrison Ford impression, especially if we're doing the primetime 80s Harrison Ford, which has a lot more energy than Harrison Ford does now. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know. I think maybe that's the straw for me that broke the camel's back, is like, okay, Troy, you didn't need to be in this. But at the same time, they casted you, get your money,
Or he could have, but he just didn't don't do a Harrison Ford impression. Like, cause
be yourself.
Been Indy, but just be yourself.
Like, you know what? This is an alternate universe Indiana Jones where it sounds like Troy Baker. Okay.
Oh man. Yeah. It's I don't know. Yeah. Troy Baker, he's an amazing voice actor, but at the same time, I'm just worried we're gonna get burnt out soon enough here. It's already been quite a few years with this. It's like, all right,
I'm there.
When are we getting some new blood in here? We gotta get some new blood in here. I'm all for it.
Man, I hope nobody like breaks this out and like sends it to Troy and he's gonna be like, oh my God, who are these nobodies hating? You know what I mean? It's not hate.
You know what?
In the slightest.
They can do that, and then we can reach out to them and we can have them on the show and talk about it and be like, hey dude, like honestly,
could you imagine?
It wasn't all like they didn't send you all the context. We love you, but let's have some real talk though. Let's have some real talk, and like maybe we can get an inside scoop behind the scenes.
Like talk. You know what I mean? Like these Hollywood game people.
How does the voice acting business really work, Troy? Have them on the show.
Yeah.
So there you go.
These Hollywood game people, they're not going to tell you the truth. Like, we'll tell you the truth, dog. Like, you don't sound like Indiana Jones, homie. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you don't.
And that's okay.
I get that you tried.
That's fine.
And that's okay. I'm not saying you're bad at it. I'm not saying you're a bad actor. I'm just saying you don't sound like Harrison Ford. That's the truth. No offense. I'm not trying to say you're a bad actor. You're not. And you may have nailed the performance itself, but the fact that you're trying to sound like Harrison, it didn't quite work out this time. That's all.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we put our foot even further into our mouth and lose Troy Baker as a friend forever, because that was my other goals. So here's my dream. Kind of the Super Game Boys Live.
Let me add. Go ahead. I'll write it down.
Super Game Boys Live. So after we stick our hands in pudding. I was hoping to have Troy Baker as a guest. He comes out on stage, dressed as his new character from Death Stranding 2, with the electric guitar, like the electric guitar ninja dude.
Oh, you want this to happen quickly?
Yeah. Well, no, it's
because Death Stranding's not coming out. It's coming out next year?
Oh,
you want us to be big enough to do live shows in a year?
No. I mean, Death Stranding 2 would have been out for a couple years at this point, but he's going to come cosplayed as his character though.
Okay.
This is like a callback. And he's gonna, cause he is a musician. He knows how to play instruments very, very well. In fact, he's an incredible singer and songwriter. And I just want him to just like do a little 10, 15 minute little concert in the middle of our Super Game Boys Live, dressed as the character from Death Stranding 2. So that was my other dream.
Okay. I see the vision, I think. Maybe.
Yeah. So putting hands is the first thing. Putting hands cult is the first thing.
Okay.
And then Troy Baker dressed as whatever the Higgs 2.0 character he's playing in freaking Death Stranding 2. He comes out with a baby in his stomach.
We have to bring him in like super early that morning so he can go in the hair and makeup and like make a whole cosplay of the suit and everything and get 100%. The guitar and all that.
Yeah, and he's gonna.
That's gonna be expensive. I hope you know that.
I mean, we'll be so big at that point. He'll be asking to come on the show. He'll be asking to come, and we'll be such good friends because people are gonna.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because he'll have been on the show for like a couple of times.
People are gonna clip this out. He's gonna think there's beef. We're gonna chat it out. Have a 1-on-1 or a 2-on-1 or a 1-on-1-on-1, however you want to say it. And then we're gonna chat, work it out, be best buds for life. Us and Troy Baker.
There you go.
That's the future of Super Gamer Boys right here.
All right,
and then he'll actually quit voice acting to come be a co-host on our show. Is what's going to happen.
Okay, let's. You know what? It was believable for a good chunk of that. Like, this is fun to dream, but now you've taken it right on out of the realm of reality, dude. Right on out of there.
Thank you so much for watching that clip from our podcast. Remember, if you want to watch the full episode, link will be in the description below. You can click on that and check it out. We got listener questions. We got more news segments. We got what you playing. We got a lot of fun things. So yeah, more than just the news. There's a lot more to the show that you should go check out. So remember, click that link in the description. Check out that full episode.